Hi, welcome back. I'm Paul Chartier. I can promise you in this segment we will have no crying. This is Kerry Boudreaux from the Prism Project. Kerry, how are you?
I'm doing wonderful, and I can't promise that there won't be any crying.
Do I look emotional? We know each other. Your family's been on before. From your background and the makeup of your family, something else great has happened. Mm-hmm. But talk about your family and Kate and what a great family the Boudreaux are.
Sure. Well, I married my high school sweetheart. We've been married for almost 27 years. We have 3 daughters. Our youngest daughter.
You can name them all.
Our oldest daughter is Kayla, and then we have Kelsey. Kayla is 22. Kelsey is 20, soon to be 21. They are both at UK. Mm-hmm. Going to graduate soon, so I hope.
Good, good.
Kate is, she just turned 14, and she is in middle school here in Lexington, of course. So, yeah, so I'm outnumbered.
It's a ladies' kind of family.
We have a dog and a cat, and they're both female, so I'm outnumbered.
This is your male bonding for the night, so.
That's right.
This is great. Talk about the magic of your family and kind of what the history and what has brought us to this point tonight.
Sure. You know, I had a friend ask me a couple of weeks ago, he said, Kerry, did you ever think about, did you ever think you would have a daughter with special needs, specifically Down syndrome? And I was like, no, I never thought I would. But in 2000, you know, Kate, you know, we had Kate, and the doctors informed us that, you know, that she had Down syndrome. So I can't say that, that I went into, you know, a total state of shock. You know, I wasn't one that, you know, that had a real problem or had a real issue with it. You know, there was some concern. I did do some research. I think I was a little bit unique because when I was in high school, one of my best friends had Down syndrome. And he was about 3 years older than I was. And I was very fortunate to, I actually worked with him, you know, on a cattle farm and raising veal cattle, and worked side by side with him for 4 years. So when the diagnosis of Down syndrome was, you know, was given, I wasn't totally in shock, and neither was Karen. You know, we were pretty comfortable with it. You know, some concerns, yes, but we were comfortable with it.
A couple things. When people hear the news, some people don't know what they're getting involved with and can kind of recoil a little bit because they don't know what to do. I'm sure you've had conversations with people like that. Do you soothe them or let them figure it out themselves? How does that work?
No, I remember back before Kate was born, I remember distinctly somebody, you know, a friend of mine came and said, hey, did you hear so-and-so, their son was just diagnosed, they just had a baby, and, you know, a baby boy, but he has Down syndrome. And I remember at that time, you know, I was like, oh my gosh, what are they going to do? You know, I just thought it was the worst news that a parent could ever get, that their child, you know, was born with an intellectual, you know, physical disability. But now it's not that way. It's a totally different perspective. You know, when we greet families that have just received a diagnosis, it's congratulations.
Yeah.
It's a baby, it's a child, it's a human being.
Yeah.
We need to be, you know, that is a blessing, that is a miracle, and we need to celebrate that. It's, you know, that child is nothing less just because they have, you know, a diagnosis of a disability. Still a child, still a human being.
And then globally, they're different. You and I are different. Everybody's different.
Yes.
There's no hierarchy in differences.
That's right.
We're just different.
That's right.
And that's okay.
That's right. That's right. And that is, that's something that that I actually, I talk about, and it's a very interesting concept, and it's probably a segue. I actually, wrote a book, just released my debut book.
You now look like an author.
I don't know what an author is supposed to look like, but on that point of differences, one of the things that I talk about, and when I was going through the editing process, and my editor, we were very close to being finished with the manuscript and releasing it to the publisher. He said, Kerry, he said, I have one request. You talk through the entire book about how Kate is no different than your other kids. She's no different than other people. Yet you talk about that she is different. She does have Down syndrome. Is she different, or is she no different?
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And he said, I think you owe it to the reader of this book to explain what you mean by that. So I had a lot of fun, and that's how I kind of start off the final chapter. And I basically summed it up in one sentence, and that Kate is the same because she is different, and she's different because she is not the same. And I kind of leave it at that. It is, what else can you say? Yeah. And it gives you, it gives the reader, an opportunity to ponder and think about that. But you could very easily, when I said Kate is the same because she is different, and Kate is different because she is the same, you can actually put I am different. I am the same because I'm
it fits everybody.
But we are.
Yeah.
It fits everybody.
Yeah.
So I felt
so. Beautiful Kate has had a great impact on your lives and other people as well. And I know that her sisters have some great thoughts in the book. But how did you get from Kate to Prism Project?
That's a great question. Back several years ago, I was asked to participate in a research project over at the University of Kentucky, specifically with the Human Development Institute. And in that research project, we were developing a training module for physicians on how to deliver a diagnosis, specifically of Down syndrome, to parents and families. And part of my job in that project was I had to write a 500-word narrative on what Kate meant to me, just a perspective from a father, right? In the research project, we called it, we called them life glimpses. What was my life glimpse of Kate and what she meant to us? Had to be a 500-word narrative. Being who I am, I mean, I used up 500 words in the introduction, right? That was really my first writing prompt. From there, I just continued to think, just unique things would enter my mind. I would jot them down. It could be something that somebody said. It could be something that I experienced. Okay, for example, I was speaking to an individual, a gentleman over in Winchester, Kentucky. Noticed he had a picture on his desk of his son. He was 21, 22 at the time. He had Down syndrome, and Kate was 18 months old at the time. And he said, Kerry, he says, I love my son, Matthew. I love him to pieces. He says, if a doctor developed a pill that would make his Down syndrome go away, he says, I wouldn't give it to him. No way, no how. And you got to understand, at the time, I'm 18 months into this, and I'm thinking, man, is this guy crazy? I would give that to Kate in a heartbeat, but I walked away from there, and it really gave me something to think about, and it really hit deep to me. He's been through this journey. He's, his son is raised. He's a productive member of of the community, and it really made me think. And so I dedicate a chapter to that whole process and why I now think like my friend over in Winchester.
I am interested in you sharing the sisters' comments.
Boy, you know, they wrote those about a year ago. It took me a couple of years to write the book. I've read those. They brought tears to my eyes when I first read them, obviously.
Yeah.
They bring tears to my eyes when I read them now, and I bet I've read them 20 times because I've gone through the editing process, right? And they still bring tears to my eyes. And if I were to read it, if I were to read their narratives right here on the set, I would probably start crying here. So, but anyway, Kate, they talk about the unconditional love that they have for their sister. Kayla, our oldest one, recalls the moment that we shared with them that Kate had Down syndrome, and she looked up at us and the doctor, and she said, "You know what? We don't care what she has. We're going to love her no matter what." And and there's an 8-year-old girl at the time teaching us as adults some really amazing life lessons.
Yeah.
You know, Kelsey talks about how Kate, having Kate has determined what her career is going to be. You know, Kelsey is going to be entering physical therapy school as she graduates from with her undergrad in kinesiology and exercise science, and she's going to be a pediatric physical therapist.
How about that?
It's all based on her experience of Kate, of the therapist coming to the house, and at such an early age, and they engaged Kelsey and Kayla in those therapy sessions. So,
who would have thunk that this little Kate would have an explosion impact of love to so many people? In a couple minutes left that we have, how can people get hold of the book? Online, in stores, book signings, going to New York, being on TV. Tell me what's going on with you, Kerry.
Well, you can purchase the book directly from Amazon. Go to Amazon.com. You can type in just my name or the book name, Prism, Seeing the World Through the Hearts of People with Special Needs. Barnes & Noble, you can go to there. You can get it hardback, softback, ebook, get it on your Kindle, get it on your Nook. A couple of local bookstores here in Lexington have picked it up, and they're stocking it for me. It's Benedictus. They are stocking it. Morris Bookshop. I'm so honored to have them stocking it. One of the best bookstores, longest standing independent bookstores here in Lexington. Over in Louisville, Carmichael's bookstore. They just honored me with picking it up and inventorying it there. Oldest independent bookstore in Louisville. So very honored to have local bookstores as well as online resources as well. And then you can always call me or drop me a note. I have some in my office, and I'll personally autograph them for you and get them to you.
So I just get done paying a parking ticket. I'm walking down Broadway. Someone drives by and screams at me, pulls his car over, and this is why you're on the program tonight.
Well, I was going to pay a parking ticket too.
Oh, you wanted me to pay it for you? Kerry, congratulations. As a fellow Frenchman, you're making us proud. I love you. I love your family. Little Kate does great things in her little innocence. She doesn't even know it. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
I am Paul Chartier. Have a great spring. Read the book. We'll see you next month on Heart of Gold.